Hey folks, it's Sam. I'm making a quick video here today on Friday, June 24th, 2022. I'm going to be talking about the transit of Mars about to go into Aries. You see he's right at the end of Pisces here. And we've had pretty eventful couple weeks, particularly relative to things like justice, legal system. I'm going to talk about those things. Again, you can see, it's up here. You see Mars is up here with Jupiter and Pisces. Again, a lot of things like the legal system. Today, here on the 24th, in fact, I have a chart here which shows the exact moment that the Supreme Court just overturned Roe v. Wade. Very important legal decision. I'm going to talk about that, particularly in relationship to the last eclipse that we just had. So a lot to talk about here, as we're right on the verge of Mars going into Aries, and this is really setting the stage for that. So I'm going to get into that in this video. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy getting these updates. It's important to understand the nature of the world you live in. Astrology definitely shows it and can predict it quite well. I've been talking about this transit of Mars through Aries, especially joined Rahu as we get to later in July and into early August, as being incredibly explosive time in 2022. I started talking about it last year because astrology allows us to be able to see those things in advance. So again, I encourage you to stay updated, like and share the video, and subscribe to the YouTube channel or Facebook or wherever you're watching this. And for those who want to study, again, I also talk about this because there are a lot of people who want to study and they don't know where to begin. Well, this is a great place to begin. 10 hours of classes, less than $10. 3 very powerful courses, one on yoga, Ayurveda, and Vedic astrology. 6 hours of video classes. The people that attended these classes paid almost $300 for a weekend. You get day one of that weekend, and again, very transformative, where you learn about all of the underpinnings of Vedic astrology and teachings, Sankhya philosophy, all of that stuff. Also, quantum Vedic astrology and neuroscience. This is a way that I've been bringing Vedic astrology and Indian principles of Sankhya philosophy, which is the same philosophy of yoga and Ayurveda, into the modern Western framework of, our cognitive biases, the triune brain, projection, confirmation bias, all these kinds of things. We can understand modern psychology very well. In fact, I think even better if we apply the same principles of Sankhya philosophy to both neuroscience and how the brain works, and quantum physics and how we create our world based on our Vedic astrology chart. How does it actually work? Well, because we collapse the infinite possibilities of the wave into the particle with our attention. So very unique class. And then also spiritual astrology master course, where I talk about myths and associations, especially with nakshatras and things like that. So again, a real deep dive into those things for only $10. You can go to Vedic Astrology Essentials or click the link that I put in the chat. So let's talk about this today. This very, very transformative day in our legal system in the U.S., where the Supreme Court has overturned 50 years of precedent and said that the women no longer have a constitutional right to a safe and legal abortion. It could be any medical procedure, but it's abortion is the one that they decided because of mainly religious reasons. And by the way, on yesterday, on the 23rd, the same Supreme Court interceded and said, well, instead of the states deciding who can have access to a safe and legal abortion, which is what they did today, yesterday they said the states don't get to decide who can conceal carry a weapon. So if the issue were states' rights, they wouldn't have overturned a New York states' rights gun law yesterday to say the states don't get to decide who conceals and carry. The right to conceal carry a weapon is guaranteed in the Constitution. The Constitution guarantees that every citizen has the right to conceal carry a firearm. That's what the Supreme Court decided yesterday. It's constitutional right that the states don't get to decide that. The states don't get to decide who can conceal and carry a weapon. They don't get to decide that, but they do get to decide who can have access to a legal medical procedure, in this case, an abortion. So you can see where I come down on this. It's a lot of hypocrisy. Even just one day after the next, it's like states. So it's constitutional right to conceal and carry a firearm. That's guaranteed by the Constitution, but it's not guaranteed by the Constitution that if there is a medical procedure that is regulated, because abortions are very regulated. You can't. They're 90% of them or more are in the first trimester. Viable fetus. The whole kind of issue is there. Very easy to discern. But they say you don't have a constitutional right to that the states get to decide. They can prevent women from having these medical procedures. So again, this is the exact time of that Supreme Court decision, 10:13 a.m. You see the moon is up here with Rahu in Bharani Nakshatra. Bharani Nakshatra is symbolized by literally the uterus. That's the symbol of this nakshatra, the uterus. And you see this chart here. This is of today, and this is the chart of the recent eclipse that happened, the last solar eclipse that happened in Bharani Nakshatra. Look at the moon, almost exact same degree in both charts. So this is how astrology works. 2 days or a day or so, I think it was 2 days after this eclipse, was when the memo was leaked. The memo was leaked 2 days after the solar eclipse in Bharani Nakshatra. Again, Bharani is symbolized by the uterus. That's literally the symbol. 2 days after this uterus eclipse, 2 days after that, we got the leaked memo. 2 months after that, month comes from moon. 2 lunar cycles later, or 2 transits of the moon later, it would be about 54 days, because the moon takes 27 days to go around the earth. 55 days. The next time the moon comes across Bharani Nakshatra, the leaked memo becomes reality. Now we see it. So here it is today. So this is how these things work. This is how astrology works. Those who say it doesn't work, you've never looked at it. Astrology is not a religion. It's a practice. I don't believe this. I practice it. I watch it, and I see that it's working. So astrology is not a religion, and you could see this playing out right in front of your eyes. And so this intense decision coming down today and at this exact moment is telling. And to analyze this chart a little bit more, it's happened, the ascendant at 10:13 a.m. in Washington, D.C. was just crossed from Aslesha into Magha Nakshatra. This is called Gandanta point. This is on the Aries side of the Gandanta. The fire side of the Gandanta point. Leo, which represents the government and authority. And as the moon was passing through Aslesha, the last degrees of Cancer, then just as it passed into Leo, it became public. Now, again, it was being written up and ready for release as the moon was passing through Aslesha. Then it is still in Magha Nakshatra when the ruling comes down. So you can see the sun is in the 11th house, the ruling planet in the 11th house of the public. Again, we see the 9th house, which is the house of justice, the house of literally of the legal system, has moon, the 12th lord, with Rahu So again, you can see this thrusting into the public consciousness. Jupiter is the Karaka of justice, is in the 8th house with Mars in Pisces. So it's literally dissolving this thing. Mars is the 9th house ruler in the 8th house. Again, 8th house is about destruction. And not to forget, very closely in the descendant, opposite this ascendant, is retrograde Saturn, which is about, Saturn is the indicator of death, restriction, prohibition. You don't get it anymore. Control, domination in this context. We're now going to decide, the authority is going to decide what you can do with your body. That's literally what it is. If you justify it because it's pro-life, which that's fine. There are people who do believe that there's a legitimate case to be made that because you believe that life begins at conception, that because you believe that gives you justification and license to impose your beliefs on everyone and prevent them from a medical procedure because of your beliefs. Again, it's not pro-life, it's anti-choice. You want to prevent others from being able to decide because of your beliefs. Because again, if you're pro-life and you don't believe in abortions, don't get one. That's simple. It's not your right to tell everyone that they can't because they don't believe the same thing as you. Apparently it is your right though now, because our Supreme Court now is stacked with people who literally lied on their Supreme Court interview so they could get on the court and do this immediately. No one should be surprised, but especially Coney Barrett and Brett, whatever they have, Brent, why am I forgetting his name? And Gorsuch all lied and said they would respect the precedent, that Roe v. Wade is precedent, that they wouldn't overturn. They all said it. They should all be impeached. They lied. It's called lying. They lied under oath. But it doesn't matter. Large majority of the U.S. population does not agree with this. So that happened today. But it's interesting because it happened at the same time. Now, this is a great win for those on that side of the political aisle, the right wing in this country who wanted this. This is why they tolerated Trump. Trump said he was going to do this before he was elected, and he did. No one should be surprised. No one should have been surprised in 2016 that this is what was going to happen. No one should have been. So however much Hillary Clinton was not fun or nice to vote for, the alternative was this, because we knew it was coming. He literally said it. The Federalist Society picked judges, and Trump said, I'm going to pick them. So I have a litmus test, and I'm going to pick judges that will overturn Roe v. Wade. He said it in the campaign, 2016. So no one should be surprised at this. And so they like that. And by the way, great. Your candidate told you what he was going to do, and he did it. So this is why people on the right wing, particularly the very conservative, hard right wing, love Trump. They love him. And by the way, I'll be really fair. I understand why they love him. That's what they want. That's what he said he would do, especially in all these culture war issues. That he said he was going to do it, and he did. And he's like, I don't give a damn about your political correctness. I'm going to overturn abortion rights. I'm going to do this, and vote for me, and I'll do it. I'll get in there and pick the most conservative, hardcore, and they'll get up and lie in their confirmation hearings, and they'll wind up doing it. And they're like, oh, awesome. It worked. Yes. So they're happy. And you know what? I'm just saying, this is what happened. And they're happy. And okay, it's good for them. But they've had a pretty tough week also watching the hearings. So again, notice how in an astrological context, which is really the point of this, there's a lot of commentary here about these issues. But what it's really setting up is Mars going into Aries. Because the right wing is now fired up, and so is the left wing about this abortion thing. right wing got a huge victory today. Huge victory. But they've had a couple tough weeks because they haven't been getting huge victories the last couple weeks with these hearings. Because anyone who is not just completely in the MAGA cult is having a real hard time right now, because there is no question of what Donald Trump did to foment insurrection after the 2020 election. Because this Congress has done nothing but bring forward Republicans, his own cabinet, people that voted for him, that want nothing more than for him to win and stay president, but who told him repeatedly, you lost, you lost, you lost. You can't do this. It's illegal. It's illegal. Stop doing this. You're destroying the country. It's bullshit. On and on and on and on and on. Bill Barr, his attorney general, all these people that would have done like nothing more than to stay in power. All of them coming forward saying, and yet he continued. And it's a damning case. It is damning. Again, if you're in the MAGA cult, and I say it like that because that's what it is. Sorry if you don't like that, but you know, that's what it is. If it doesn't matter what is said, you know, you don't mind a dictator as long as it's Trump. And that's really kind of what a certain percentage of the country is. Then to you, it's all just a show and it's all fake news and it's all da 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 da. Nobody else believes this. No one else believes this because it's all his own people, his lawyers that were with him the entire presidency, who were okay with all of it. They were okay with Charlottesville. They were okay with, you know, cracking down on protest. They were okay with everything Trump did. Years. These were the people in the Justice Department at the end. Some of them, they're Republicans, died in the wool Republicans loyal to Trump, saying, you lost, stop. Because they wouldn't try to overturn democracy and subvert democracy on his behalf. He turned on them too, wanted to fire them and all this stuff. So it's been a tough day or tough couple of weeks for those guys. So on the left, they're going, yay, for the last few weeks. And today on the right, they're going, yay. So I'm saying this in a larger context because this is where we're at right now as Mars is about to go into Aries. These things about as explosive as they could be right now. Two of the biggest issues, guns and abortion, both just decided by the Supreme Court, both in the favor of the extreme right wing, which is what it is. No other country in the world has the gun policies we do. No other civilized country in the world would ever hand down and decide what the Supreme Court did on guns yesterday. That it's your constitutional right to conceal carry a firearm. That is insanity. And they overturned a state law. All the state rights. By the way, if you don't know politics, the right wing, the Republican right wing, what these conservatives are supposed to be for is everything is about states' rights, not the federal government imposing. They just impose the federal government on states' rights when it comes to guns. Oh no, constitutional right to have guns. Not constitutional right to have an abortion, which is a medical procedure. No, states can decide that. You states decide that. And they know when they're doing it that means Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, Tennessee, Idaho, South Dakota, all that, Wyoming, they're all going to decide to take, there's already trigger laws in place. Immediately, women lost their rights today. So these two issues, the last 2 days, as the moon went through Aries, has triggered, has like, bam, like lit a match right before Mars goes into Aries, because it polarizes the opposition as well. Now you have the opposition who is against all these gun rights after all of these killings. By the way, I didn't forget, I'm about to mention that there was a sort of gun legislation that passed. Some people are a little bit excited about it. It's politics. By the way, I even said after the shootings that they would probably wind up passing a token gun legislation bill. Whatever. I'm not even looking at that. It's politics. That's so that these politicians can say, see, we did something. It doesn't even outlaw automatic weapons. It doesn't do much of anything, frankly. I don't even want to say it's a good start, especially in light of what just happened with the Supreme Court overturning the gun laws in New York State. So the world just got a lot more dangerous with that, and for women, this overturning of Roe v. Wade on the federal level. So again, this fires up both sides around guns and abortion, two of the biggest issues we face. And at the same time, what's the other big issue we face? Trump or not Trump? Insurrection or fake news? Da-da-da. Fired up because these hearings. And it's showing like this is what was going on. Again, maybe you don't want to believe it, but Mike Pence, the loyalist of loyalists, the lapdog of lapdogs, was like, look, and Mike Pence was trying his damnedest to find any legal way to do it. Make no mistake, these guys who stood up, they weren't, look, some people want to lionize and make these people heroes. They weren't heroes. I think they did it out of self-interest. I mean, I'm glad they didn't jump on the crazy train at the time. But a lot of it was because it was illegal. And by the way, I said it at the time. Go back and look at my election predictions, that Trump was going to get trounced in the election, but then he was going to try everything he can to steal it. And he might do it. It'll be very close, but it's not going to succeed. And I ultimately said, because these people aren't going to break the law for him. And that's what it was. They would have been totally on board. Pence would have been 100% on board for finding some legal recourse to do what Trump wanted. But he was just, there is no legal recourse, and I'm not going to break the law, not because he's so law-abiding, but because he would be on the hook for it. It's like, I'm not going to break the law for you. I can't. And Trump was like, go break the law. Just go proclaim that you have the legal right to do it. And he didn't. Because, by the way, again, as we found out, if you haven't been watching the hearings, all of his lawyers, even the two lawyers that were telling him to do it, knew that if it went to the courts, they would lose. They all knew it was completely illegal scheme. So all of this stuff has been coming out in these hearings as well. So the other big issue of Trump or not Trump is also just blown up now. So again, this is the chart of now, and this is the chart from the last eclipse. And I'm going back. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see them next to each other. But again, look at the specifics here. When we had the eclipse, it was Mars was in Aquarius, Jupiter, Venus were in Pisces, very close. Now, with this last week and with this ruling today by the court, Mars is right at the edge of Pisces in the Gandanta point as well. This is why we have Gandanta, and the ascendant is also Gandanta. And by the way, let me take this opportunity to one more way, if you're still don't understand and you're confused, Indian astrology, Vedic astrology, is based on the sidereal zodiac, where the rashis, the signs, are pinned to the nakshatras. Here is a classic example of how, again, no one who I know who does any legitimate research, especially in world events and watches this stuff, ever stops, ever gets confused about this once you start watching events like this. And Gandanta literally means where the knot becomes untied. It's not tying the knot, it's untying the knot, where the knot is loosened. What that means is that between all the other signs, there's a knot that ties them together. Between Aries and Taurus, Taurus and Gemini, Gemini, Cancer, there's a knot that holds them together, which is the nakshatras that's behind the rashis. At these points, these Gandanta points, the knot is loosened. So this is why you see the knot loosened here. All this Gandanta here on this Roe v. Wade decision. The knot came untied. And Mars is in these last degrees, especially the last nakshatra pada, the last 1 or 2 degrees, or the first 1 or 2. This is almost 3 degrees. But the ascendant moves very fast. That's when the knot tends to loosen, and those things that tie everything together become loosened. And so you can see the Gandanta Mars as he's about to move into Aries. And by the way, this is the last work day before. And by the way, the Supreme Court, because they're a bunch of cowards, they did this in their last day of session. They did this, and now they just went on recess, right? And so we'll see that the next work day is June 27th, which will be the middle of next week, which will be Monday. So this is actually the last regular work day before Mars goes into Aries. So again, one of the things I predicted, I talked about last week, is that we need to be really careful about assassinations and this kind of violence and danger. I thought that was what was going to happen when we had this recent full moon, the second full moon that was in Scorpio. I said we need to be really careful because there's some very ominous trends. It didn't happen around the full moon. In fact, the full moon was much more uneventful than I thought it would be, and I'm glad. I don't want to see any of this terrible stuff. But the prediction is ongoing. I've already made the prediction. I'll say it again. What's going to happen is we're going to have some kind of high-profile assassinations, or obviously the potential for civil unrest. Assassinations are a big one. Brett Kavanaugh, that's his name. And I'm remembering it because right when I did that last update, this was when we had seen that there was someone camped outside the house of Brett Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court Justice, ready to take action. He wasn't fooling around. He had knives and explosives and all kinds of stuff. I don't want to see any of this, but what are you doing? You overturn laws and rights that people have had that are deeply unpopular, or that are deeply popular, even amongst most Republicans, and you leave the people no choice at some point. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying the frustration is ripe to be building up. And we have Rahu in Aries. He's still just barely poked his head in Aries for the last couple months, and seeing Mars about to go in right after these eclipses that I talked about. And it's not hard to make the scenario and see what this portends, particularly with this latest transit of Mars Jupiter through Pisces has put a extreme focus on the legal system. That's why this past week, last 2 weeks, as Mars has been going through Pisces with Jupiter, has been the time of all of these hearings. And again, I haven't watched every minute of all of them. I've gotten some highlights, and the last couple I've watched because they've corresponded with me being around, but they're damning. I mean, and again, if you just want to tune it all out and you don't like it and you want to neener, I don't want to hear it, then fine. But people, the rest of us realize, wow, I knew how possible it was, and I was saying it in real time, that this is no joke. He's trying to steal it, and he's trying to corrupt everybody, fake electors and he's going to try to fire every lawyer until he gets the ones that are going to carry out his plans. And by the way, I even said, because I know what I said it at the end when they were getting like in early January or the end of December, that they're going to try to put Sidney Powell, that crazy Kraken lawyer, as like the head of the Justice Department or some crazy thing like that. Again, you think that's insane. It wasn't insane. They wanted to do it. They were going to appoint that other guy and then have her be a special prosecutor so that she could pass down a kangaroo court decision that the election was stolen. This scheme is incredible. But this has been of some very powerful justice with Mars Jupiter in Pisces for the last several weeks, coming out and bringing this stuff out. And by the way, I also think one thing that's going to happen with Mars going through Aries, the actual Justice Department with Merrick Garland, the weakest attorney general I've ever seen, is going to have to start handing down indictments. You absolutely cannot have this kind of explosive, damning evidence of a coup and not indict some of these people. You absolutely must. And I don't just mean people that stormed the Capitol. I mean Bannon and Peter Navarro. These people openly declared what they were doing, but also these lawyers. And some of these lawyers are going to start to flip. And it's going to get to Trump, and it means they need to indict him as well, at least impanel a grand jury. This is absolutely crimes. We have him on tape literally trying to pressure the attorney of South Carolina to find me votes and endless pressure campaigns. That is absolutely illegal. There's no question there's illegality. if we don't have a justice system, it will simply happen again. So the pressure will mount on Merrick Garland as well to not just have the Congress have these hearings, but to use the Justice Department properly and hand down indictments, because it's just too much. And by the way, I think this is why the Congress decided to do this publicly, to show the public this is what happened. And so the public will demand justice in this context, at least the attempt at justice. And it needs to happen. And again, this is also part of Mars going through Aries. Mars, Rahu, and Aries, people are going to get frustrated. Their things are about to pop and boil over. And this is what I said. This has been the through line through all of it. With Mars, Rahu going in Aries. And that it's going to be legal system boiling over, things popping. And by the way, I'm not reading comments. I don't feel like it. People who don't like what I'm saying, you're free to leave. I'll just say that much. I saw one comment. I thought it was astrology and I'm getting politics. Yeah, okay. Politics. Yeah. So, but I've been saying this for a while, that when Mars, Rahu enters Aries, we're going to get this explosive situation where all of these social issues are going to boil over and explode. And there could be, again, I'm thinking there's going to be some assassinations of some public officials. I hope it doesn't happen, but that looks like one of the biggest dangers, some version of that. Again, we still have war in Ukraine. We still have all kinds of explosive situations happen. And, but I just wanted to show this, this unprecedented transit right now with these, sorry, where's my screen go? Here it is. With this decision today, and with Mars on the verge of moving into Aries after having gone through Pisces. And this is what we've been seeing so much in the world, is this legal accounting for what happened at the end of the last election, the danger that it poses, the civil frustration that is also there, where, again, especially if you're not in that, if you care about justice, or you care about a legal system going forward, or not having the next election be about, be stolen again, or, attempted to be stolen again like this, something needs to happen. Otherwise, you don't have a functioning democracy. So, again, people ask questions. Assassination, when? I'm talking about now. Come on, folks. You want me to predict the exact day or something? Come on. Right now, it's a very dangerous time. It could happen any time. We're talking about right now, these times that we're in. Okay. So I don't want to, this is why I don't read comments, because they're just like, I don't really know what else to tell you. It's already, I don't like talking about things like this, by the way. I hate it. It's why I don't talk about things like this very often. And I don't use this kind of language. And because I don't know if it's, whether it's going to be assassination or not, there's extreme potential for violence. Again, you don't need astrology to tell you this, but it's confirming it, that we're on the verge. It's not like, oh, when will things get better? In this regard, not soon. Again, you shouldn't even need astrology to tell you this. What just happened? We just threw a match in the middle of a gasoline fire, just exploded a hand grenade in the middle of a very difficult, extremely difficult political and social situation in our country. So besides that, the things that Mars and Aries are good for, your personal spiritual practices and sadhana and, yoga and all of those things, they're there and they have to be there. in fact, to overcome the frustration and irritability and the desire to, lash out or whatever, this need to channel your frustration and aggression into spiritual practice is very important. So this is there's a couple things here. Just looking at all right. I'm sorry, I had something in mind. All right. So the I want to leave it there. I don't want to make a really long video here today. I'm very busy, but the main reason that I wanted to talk about this is because it's so noteworthy. Look at that. These eclipses are real. Look at this, where this eclipse happened at the end of April, 1626 of Bharani, of Aries in Bharani Nakshatra. Today, 1915, it's exactly the same. And the Supreme Court makes this decision. It's remarkable. And again, those who don't like my political opinions, I'm sorry, but aside from that, it shows astrology working, whether you like my political opinions or not. Again, you're in the minority because most people want sensible gun control, sensible gun legislation. They don't want the Supreme Court to say, okay, now everybody can open carry. Most people do not want abortion rights overturned at the federal level. Most people do not agree with the insurrection and all the stuff that happened. So you're free to be upset, but you're in the minority. And if you want to debate any of that, go ahead and have a respectful debate in any of the comments. That's fine. But if your respectful debate is just calling me names, I'll just block and delete you. Okay. But if you want to debate any of these things in any of the comments, go ahead and say, no, actually guns, blah, blah. No, actually abortion, blah, blah. No, actually Trump, blah, blah. Go ahead and do it. I'm fine. If you just say that I'm a stupid liberal or I'm brainwashed or whatever, I'm deleting the comment. Plus, when you say that, I'm sure it's going to be behind a fake account, a sock puppet account where you're hiding your shame beneath anonymity. So anyway, I don't want to get into that so much. But I do want to say, as you see up there on the screen, if people are interested in studying, because it is still a great time to be studying astrology and learning these things, like how to understand these transits, how to know when things are shifting and why they're shifting, then you can do that. You can get 10 hours of classes. It's available right now. They're all recorded. And again, since we still have since we still have Jupiter in Pisces, where he's going to be for the next, until next April, again, it's a great time to be studying this sacred teachings and these, this transcendent knowledge and wisdom. So I wanted to just, put that out there as well. And so again, I pray for all of us. I don't like these kinds of updates. I don't like saying this stuff. I don't like thinking this stuff. I don't want people assassinated. I don't want people losing their rights. I don't want any of this. Someone just said, I never thought in my 51 years I would see all of this. Yeah, none of us did. None of us did. It's such a disappointing era for most of us. And I say most of us because we're in the majority. And that includes the majority of, centrists and people on the left. The reason, I will tell you, you want to know politically, the reason things are going to blow, it's not people on the left. It's the rest of us, because we have minority rule. Our system is, you want to know what's rigged? Our system is rigged. We have minority rule. Now we have a group of 4 or 5 conservative Christians, ideologues, sitting on the Supreme Court who can overturn any law in the country. How does that make you feel? None of these people were elected. They got up at their confirmation hearings and lied. Every one of them lied and said that Roe is settled law. They all did it. Goes back to Clarence Thomas. And now all of them are like, now we got the majority, the hell with all that. And there's nothing we can do about it. And they're going to be there for 25 years. This, again, the reason things are going to blow is because what is governing us is out of step with the people. Because America, like all developed countries, is wildly liberal in the sense of, and again, not some cartoonish liberal, but for rights, for people to have freedom, for people to have choice, like every other sane democracy in the world. And by the way, again, those who are acting like taking away a woman's right to abortion is somehow, the real thing. You are so in a minority, not just in America, in the world. This is savagery in the rest of the world. Or awash with guns, saying that it's your constitutional right to conceal carry a weapon is absolute savagery around the world. Again, if you want to say that I'm some Aries politics, liberal, blah, blah. No. You're the one who is in some right-wing bubble who doesn't realize how out of step with the rest of the world you are, with the rest of the civilized world you are. So again, come at me over it, okay? Go ahead. I'm fine. And so this, the reason why everything is so poised to blow like it is right now isn't because liberals and this and that. It's because the rest of us are absolutely being oppressed by a small cadre of right-wing and business interests and other things like that because of our electoral college and other kinds of things that have been rigged and gerrymandered and finagled. And it's doing nothing but getting worse. I realized it in 2016 when we were about to elect Trump, and he said he was going to at least appoint 2 Supreme Court justices that was going to throw the court to the right, and it was going to overturn Roe v. Wade. I knew it then. And that was before we knew that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was going to have another seat. This is why you don't think about the thing right in front of you right now. You vote for the long term. And by the way, that's what the right wing has done. They've been doing this for decades. They've been stacking local elections, local school boards, local, they've been working just, judges, all local. This is why this is happening. And these are minority opinions. To have that California has 2 senators and so does Wyoming makes absolutely no sense. North Dakota has the same amount of senators as California or New York with the population. So this is not going to go away anytime soon. And again, I've seen that some, well-meaning left, people on the left and friends are like, oh, this means war. They think they're getting this, but they're getting that. No, they're not. They've taken away these rights. It's happening. And what's going to change it is this is going to explode. And I'm sorry to say it and see it. But this is why last year when I saw this, I was like, it didn't take much for me to imagine what it would look like by now. At the end of last year when I was doing the forecast for 2021, it wasn't hard for me to imagine what would be the trigger in July, August of 2022. There's so many things wrong. Guns, again, now too, guns and abortion and Trump, all 3 blown up. And the Justice Department, again, people are going to even get outraged at that when these hearings conclude. If Merrick Garland, if the Attorney General, if the head of the DOJ, if the Attorney General doesn't do something, there's going to be and should be ridiculous protests against that. Anyway, so these things are really, really up right now, and it's a very dangerous time. Again, not even talking about what's happening around the rest of the world. Again, China and Taiwan, and again, as America is going through this, other countries are watching what's happening in France and the rise of nationalism there. There's other wars and stuff. So anyway, thank God we have our teachings, we have our health, we have our love for each other as well. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about these things and show how the astrology has literally predicted. And it doesn't even take that much astrological foresight to see how these things play out. Literally, the last eclipse in Botany, which is the womb, literally the birth canal, and 2 months late, and this leaked memo comes out right after that, and then 2 months later, right on cue, the decision is handed down. So incredible synchronicity with how astrology actually works. And again, I know people don't like politics a lot of times. I don't like talking about it either. I hate it. I never talked about this stuff for years, but this world we live in now is what it is. So again, if I came off a little bit aggressive or whatever, sorry, but I'm a bit fired up too. And I know the haters are going to come and say this kind of stuff, but I guess that's just the way it is. I don't really know what else to say, but I'll just deal with that anyway. But anyway, folks, you have a good one. Have a good weekend and stay safe.